All yours, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon. I'm now going to call the joint meeting between the Norfolk County Commissioners and the Norfolk County Advisory Board of Wednesday, March 9th, 2022 to order. I may add that this meeting, as I said, is advertised as a joint meeting at 1:30. The Norfolk County Advisory Board Finance Committee is going to join us for their portion of the meeting. So what I intend to do is open this meeting, go right to some of our budget, not some of our items, and then we're going to go right to the budget at 1:30. So welcome, everyone. On Thursday, March 12, 2020, Governor Charles Baker issued an order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20. That order was effective immediately and until it is rescinded or a state of emergency is terminated. On February 12th, 2022, by action of the legislature, that order was extended until July 15th of 2022. So if everyone could join me in saluting the flag at our meeting. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. I'm now going to draw your attention to item number one, which is a call to order. And item number two is a roll call. I'm going to take the roll. Commissioner Stady.
Present, sir.
Commissioner Collins. Present. And Commissioner Shea is present. We have a quorum. Number three is the public comment section of our meeting. If we have anyone that has a public comment, now is the time to express yourself to us. And I'm going to ask the county director if he's had any contact with anyone who has reached out to you for public comments.
I have not.
Okay. Okay. That concludes the public comment section. Number four is old business. I have no old business. The commissioners have none. We're going to move right to number five. Personnel matters for considerations. I have none. We have none today.
No, sir.
That's a good one. Number six, payroll and expense warrants.
Real quickly on the personnel, there was a hire scheduled for facility maintenance. There was a delay in his health check, and I believe we'll see him start a week later. It's the 21st.
But it's not on today's agenda.
No, just a heads up.
All right,
Some
okay.
tracking of that hire, and
All
I'll
right.
let you know. It's put off for reasons associated with pre-employment health check. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go to number six, payroll and expense warrants.
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman,
Stady.
yes, Mr. Chairman, through you, I'd like to make the following motion for approval of the warrant list of March 9th. Number one, 22-36 payroll of the county in the amount of $134,426.81. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
Second item, Mr. Chairman, item 22-36, parentheses 18, school payroll. Motion for approval of $332,286.87. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. It is a vote.
Third, Mr. Chairman, line item 22-4, bond issue, and the amount of $142,721.88. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
And final one, Mr. Chairman, item 030222, payroll expense, total amount of $102,928.53. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous.
That concludes that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Number seven, January trial balance for approval. We have a copy of the trial balance in our package. We do. Commissioners, I refer you to the trial balance is dated 1/3/22. If there's any questions, the vote is required, but take your time and look at it. If you have any
It seems like we
questions.
discussed this last week. Was my mistake? Or was that last month? It's
Last
time
month.
flying.
This
Okay.
is the January 31st trial balance
Okay.
in 2022.
I remember Phil explaining it
I'm
and
sorry,
talking
did
about it.
I'm sorry.
I don't recall that.
No, maybe it was something, maybe, oh, that was the court reimbursements.
Right.
Right.
Right, Phil was on last week on the Commonwealth's court
That's right.
reimbursement.
That's right.
Through Mr. Chairman, I will note the assistant treasurer is on our Zoom call in case you want to have him address
Okay.
content of this.
Joe Dior is with us here today. And we expect Treasurer Block later at the budget session. So if there's any questions of the trial balances or any questions at all, let's come forward and we're ready to go. Mr. Director, did you?
I have no comments on it. Nope.
What's
Okay.
the required motion? Is it the grand total of year to date or the January amount, 87 million? What am I?
We're gonna
I
look.
see-
With respect to a motion,
Yeah, I'm looking, I see 3 columns here. Which one? We'll move
A
it.
motion, I think, is to accept the trial balances as presented in this statement dated 1/31, and then we know we're referring to this, 1/31/22.
No specific amount is needed to contain in here?
This is-
All right. That's fine. I'll move then the approval of the trial balance as presented at our meeting in the document stated and dated as of 1/31/22.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
That's the approval of the trial balance dated 1/31/22. Number 8, bid openings, we have none. Number 9, contract award. Nancy,
Yeah. Oh,
Right here.
Yes.
good afternoon, Nancy.
This is,
Well, have a seat, Nancy. Was it last week we opened this or the week before?
it was opened, on a non-meeting day due to time constraints to open
Okay.
the restaurant. The contract was awarded last week. Attorney Lopez has prepared the lease,
Okay.
and this will be for the 3
That's the
years with the,
So this is the lease agreement which mirrors and partners with the contract to
correct.
award the
Correct.
concession. at
It's a little
Wallaston
more
facility.
detailed, yes.
And just review, I know the name of the company and I know the
It's,
people,
it's actually still the View Restaurant and Tavern, but under new ownership.
correct? And the
And
new owner is a former
William Fraser,
manager.
he was a manager of
Okay.
the restaurant.
That's the point.
So the contract is for leases for 3 years. Then each 1 year option will be negotiated after that for another 3 options if so chosen.
Okay, any questions, Commissioner? It's a 3-year with 3-year options. The View, it stays the View.
Mhm.
Some corporate change, but no change in the manager because the manager now becomes owner and manager.
Correct. He has a few new personnel and
And we know Bill, Bridge. Okay, he's been with us for.
Question?
Yeah, sure.
So I remember in the prior ownership, he had asked for some help or deference in terms of payment,
He did.
right? And I thought there might have been some money owed or anything like that. Is that new entity? Are we up to date in terms of?
we are up to date.
We're up to date.
No,
Okay, great.
Everything was starting from scratch and everything's up to date.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And we're looking forward to being open.
Soon.
Well, as soon
And
as the
it's
sun comes out, boom.
It is snowing.
I know, it's not today, but
It's not.
It is snowing. It is snowing.
it's not today, but it could be by next week. So if Nancy's ready to go, I hope we're ready. And
So-
that's what, but any questions at all, now's the time to ask them.
more.
So it's the View Restaurant.
View Tavern and Restaurant,
View Tavern and Restaurant. All right.
or Restaurant and Tavern. Jeez.
Yeah. And
Okay,
the
so
date, what's the date of the effective date of the lease?
today,
Today. All right. Unless there's any questions, you want me to make a motion? Mr. Chairman? I'll move that we enter into the lease agreement and we vote to endorse the lease agreement prepared by our council for the View Tavern and Restaurant for the food and beverage service at the Wollaston recreational facility. And this is for a period of 3 years with an option for another 3 years,
3 1 year.
3 1 year.
Mhm.
Thank you. And it would be effective on this date, 3/9/22. That's my motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the lease agreement for the food and beverage service at the Wallaston Recreation Facility for a period of 3 years to the View Restaurant, having been awarded the contract for 3 years with 3 1-year renewals
3 1 year renewals.
commencing today. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That should get us started on the View Restaurant to continue.
The first red tab is for all 3 of you to sign. The
Right.
second red tab is just for Commissioner Shea to sign.
All right.
Okay, we'll take care of that.
Sounds good to me.
Number 10. request for transfer funds in the fiscal 22 budget from register of deeds for approval. Commissioners, there's a request transfer here dated March 3rd,
So this one's for me.
2022.
Thank you.
Request of $50,000 from present fiscal year registry of deeds dedicated deeds excise account that is occurring in our fiscal year budget as follows. And then it talks about what we're asked for. This is one of several requests that we do expect to be on the next agenda meeting of the advisory board. And we are going to take this up at a later date. Are we ready to go?
With respect to the commissioner's interest, I would suggest that we accept this and act on it on or about March 30th, which is the week before the finance committee will meet in preparation for the advisory board on April 13th. This would be joining several other actions that will be part of our supplemental preparation for the April advisory board meeting.
That's my point. Questions, commissioners, any questions on this? And it will be on the March 30th agenda
Yes,
with
sir.
others.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So this is a supplemental transfer which needs advisory board approval, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you're suggesting we take this up with the other ones at a later time of the month?
Correct. In
Yes.
preparation of the advisory board meeting on the 13th
Okay, all right.
and the FinCom on the 6th.
Is there any additional information that we could request on Registrar O'Donnell or should seek at this time, or should we wait?
I'm satisfied with the
Yeah,
proposal that it was described in
Mhm.
terms of need.
Okay,
it's pretty straightforward. I think we
Yeah.
did one of these last year, as a matter of fact.
right, okay,
If not, it could have been more than 12 months ago, but it's not, and we did it in the recent past also.
is that custom to put all of them in one group and take them up then?
Well, I don't have the custom.
That's true, you're right. No, you're right,
Couple
you're
of
right. Unfair question.
Yeah.
supplementals, but
All right, just
No.
procedurally, is that what you prefer to do? Take them up then rather than each week or whatever, is,
Yeah, take them all up together and the reason we wait till closer to the meeting is sometimes when they come in staggered and, we have to get them ready to get on their agenda. There'll be none taken after March 30th, correct?
okay,
Because the meeting is less than 10 days later. It's the 13th of April. Well, it's more than 10 days, but,
we have a finance committee meeting in between two.
oh, okay, all right.
so procedurally, I think, Mr. Chairman, the motion would be to postpone action and to bring this back for action at our March 30th meeting? Time certain?
Yes.
Yes,
That's the right way procedurally?
any way you want to do it. I don't think
Are
there's
you
an
good with that
issue.
as a motion?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think there's an issue on
Yeah.
putting it on.
Okay,
All right, so that's a motion to March 30th, and I'll second the motion.
okay.
Number 10, on the request to transfer funds in the fiscal 22 budget for the registry of deeds. Motion been made and seconded to table this until the meeting of March 30th. All in favor?
Makes sense. Yeah, aye.
Thank you. Number 11, reporting the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Director Cronin.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I regret I don't have any requests for award this week. We were very close with the town of Bellingham. However, the town encountered a misunderstanding regarding the use of the category of one of their grant applications and have requested that two of those applications be deferred at this time. Frankly, a lot of what Mary McKinnon Bellingham is trying to do is to assess the impact of revenue loss opportunities against the town's interest in some of these grant awards. As you know, the county has worked with our congressional delegation to have the U.S. Treasury reconsider the final rule impact on our grant awardees. The revenue loss category is a very topical issue. It's important to a lot of our communities to have the flexibility to use their funds. So when Bellingham fully understood this opportunity, they requested to withdraw those two pending applications. We may see them in the future. It depends on how things go with the U.S. Treasury. So at this time, I don't have any additional applications. I will tell you, very likely you will see Needham next week. They have two that have advanced to pending level 2, and I expect to see them within the next week. So hopefully we'll have some more for you then. That is all I have at this time.
Any questions about opera?
Yeah, if I could.
Sure.
Just quick follow-up, real quick. So on that note, Is there anything else you want us to do or we could be doing to assist the Senator's office and what they are doing? I know we sent a letter, and I think we were trying to look at maybe other counties joining us. Have we made any advancement on that to get some?
I think the effort that the congressional staff out of Senator Markey's office undertook did include it included the input of the other counties.
Okay, it did.
We did reach out to Senator Markey's office this week to see if they've heard anything, follow up or otherwise. The Treasury simply acknowledged receipt of the letter and the assignment of the letter to a working team. I'm afraid I don't have any idea of when they may act upon it. They do understand from the correspondence the urgency associated with this, because at least one community mentioned has a relatively important benchmark date coming up in March regarding their FY23 budget. But to answer your question, Commissioner, other than making inquiry, I think at this point we have to sit and wait to see what the Treasury wants to do.
Fair enough. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Number 12, report on COVID-19 responses.
Commissioner, I have no update for you on this matter. I do have a request to drop this particular item from future agendas until we see any evidence that the COVID-19 response needs to be part of upcoming agendas.
That's fine by me.
Yeah,
It sounds like a pretty good request, but
nice to
if
see
you had to
you.
guess, how long has it been on? Well, you
I know.
weren't here. It's been on since
Yeah, that's a great.
March of 19, no,
Actually,
March of
yeah.
20.
If I'm not mistaken, the 2-year anniversary is coming up next week,
March
when
of
the
20.
state of emergency was originally declared.
My son sent a picture of his second little daughter, and he said, first time going to school ever without a mask. Because she, we under the pan, it's amazing to think about that. All she's known going to school with wearing a
I was
mask.
talking about earlier.
You know,
Matt, gee,
amazing.
I mean,
Just
it's
an amazing.
pretty crazy, but
Yeah, it's great. Great to
I
see that
don't see any
eliminated.
problem, but I mean, as long as,
If we see any elements of the pandemic operationally impacting Norfolk County business, we'll bring this back. Certainly, if there's another variant or impact associated with office safety, we will. But I note that your introductory preamble that you read, Commissioner, did mention March 12, 2020, when Governor Baker declared the state of emergency. So the 2-year anniversary is Saturday. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's okay with you. We'll just drop it from our future agendas.
I'm fine.
do we need to take a motion on that, or is it
I'll
just
take a vote,
understood?
sure.
I don't think you need to vote.
You don't want to know? That's
No.
fine. Whatever you
I
like.
think it's a procedural thing.
Done.
We have some latitude on drawing the agenda. I hope.
Hopefully we don't bring it back. A
That's
long
a pleasant.
time.
Okay, so it's safe to say for the time being, we're not going to each week report on COVID and hopefully ever again, but maybe it'll rear its ugly head. Okay. Moving right along before our joint meeting at 1:30. 13, report of the county director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few items. The Attorney General's office, as you may know, is coordinating a statewide opioid settlement. A couple of months ago, I reported to this board that the Attorney General's office had reached out to us as a unit of government to see if we had an interest in applying towards this class action effort. And we did. We submitted an application of interest. The office contacted me late Monday morning, early afternoon. And they are offering us an agreement, pre-agreement for any dispersed funds. The Attorney General's office is trying to leverage their authority to increase the eligibility of annual payments associated with this abatement fund to 40% above, I should say that is above the projected 15% nationally. The participating subdivisions will have to fill out a participation form and submit it to their office. So this afternoon, I'm asking for guidance. If you like, I can put this on a future agenda for the commissioners to sign off on, or if you want me to administratively handle this and submit it on behalf of the office.
Questions?
How much would we, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
no commission, how much would we be looking to obtain?
We don't know.
Okay.
That was one of the first questions that emerged. If I had to guess, Commissioner, it's in the 5-figure range. And I would announce also that from what I understand on this opioid settlement, any receipt funds have to be used as it were a grant, and they have to be used in concert with opioid mediation or remediation efforts, programming towards opioid addiction services and so forth. So it's not general fund revenue. It'll have to be used against a specific.
So just hypothetically, if I can understand it better.
Sure.
So let's say we obtain a grant of 50,000 and it's given to Norfolk County.
Right.
Are we the facilitator then for another town to apply?
We
Or
could
are
be.
we, that's what I'm wondering, we'd be like an opera almost, maybe similar to that. but
Yes.
Towns could apply to us for help. Or we could have our
That's
own
correct. We
program?
could develop some kind of a disbursement program. That's right.
Okay,
Didn't we have a young lady in here from Needham or?
that's what I was thinking about.
8 or 9 months ago?
That's what I was thinking about.
Was talking
Yeah.
about
The nurse.
her role with the town of Needham. and
Yeah.
a few others. I think she was from,
I think it was Needham.
right, huh?
Yeah, from Needham.
She resides in Medfield. She
Oh.
works in Needham. and,
Right. Right.
Her issue was she was trying to develop a multi-town program to deal with addiction and the housing that comes with it. And it was a comprehensive notion, but beyond the scope really of what county government could do. We encouraged her to seek out some partners with other communities, and that's what we left it with her. But she would be an excellent point of contact to determine that, if we were to get this money, how to optimize it for the benefit of the
Yeah.
Norfolk County communities.
Well, I suggest respectfully, let's see how much we get. And maybe we can then send out a letter or something, if we have an interest, because certainly I would circle back.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
did, have we done everything we need to do to be eligible?
We have, absent signing this agreement for settlement. So I guess that is the question before you now. Do you want the county director to sign this, or do you want me to put this on your agenda for next week so it is endorsed by the commissioners?
But the county director can sign. Make a motion, Joe, that the county director can sign on our behalf.
Okay, on the motion for having the county director sign and handle this.
No problem, just before we vote, could you make a point of bringing this back up for discussion next week? Only because my friend, I think Chief Duty's coming in, and he serves on the Substance Abuse Committee, and he's networked with a lot of other people. Great way to get the word out, what we're doing, just to mention it, that's all.
Chief and
Absolutely.
Chief,
Fire Chief Duty,
oh,
he's
fire
coming,
chief,
yeah.
okay, I thought it was.
he's coming in, he's on,
Okay.
he's
I-
chairperson of that.
All right, if you want
Great,
to, yeah,
yeah.
put it on there. I don't have any problem.
No, I have no problem with John
But I-
executing it. It'd be a great PR for us and for others who are trying to fight this terrible thing. He's like.
Okay, on the motion to have the county director handle this and but carry it on the budget, on the motion, carry it on the agenda for next week. Any discussion, motion made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Well, further discussion next week.
Great,
Sure.
great, thanks. That'll
Okay,
help us all.
we're still beating the clock here for our 1:30 meeting.
Couple more items,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman. Commissioner stated for your information, I reached out following our meeting last week, and I left a voicemail with Ms. Emily Norton. She's the executive director of the Charles River Watershed
Great.
Association. So at this point, I'll wait word back from her, but I'll report back when I hear from her and what we
Excellent.
can do for
Thank you.
her.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I'd like to ask your permission to amend our existing FY23 budget schedule. We have.
It's in your
the-
packet.
Actually, this is not, so if you don't mind, Commissioner, I'll just do this. I amended it to show where the changes would be. Make
Okay,
it easier.
why don't you explain the changes?
You got it. So as the schedule shows, the commissioners on March 30th will conduct, as defined by state law, a public hearing on their budget proposal. That is on Wednesday, March 30th. In fact, notice of that has already been put in motion and the advertisements will be held shortly. Recognizing that there is a substantial piece of the FY23 budget that will be still undone by the 30th, and that is the Ripples Group Report on Technology Assessment. I'm recommending that the commissioners open the hearing on March 30th and continue any remaining pieces until May 4th. The Ripples Group is expected to deliver their product to the commissioners at the end of April. So by adding the May 4th deadline, it allows your hearing to be continued until that date certain, so that you can hear and take a vote on the operating budget. I also want to point out that the advisory board hearing is scheduled to begin, as I mentioned earlier, on April 13th. That particular meeting will also be opened as a public hearing, and I'll recommend to the chairman that they continue that meeting until May 18th, when they can take a vote after hearing on the report of the Ripples Group. So simply adding the May 4th timeline to this overall budget schedule is my request today to alter the current schedule.
Okay, any questions on this revised Norfolk County budget schedule, which is basically the revision consists of adding an extra date in here of May 4th, a Wednesday, for the public hearing on the fiscal year 23 operating budget. And the note being taken that we'd already given the notice for the March 30th, so we're going to still have March 30th
Yes,
and then kick it
Continue.
over.
continue the hearing.
Continue it hopefully to May 4th, hoping that we have the Ripples report budget, but Ripples report. Any questions?
Need a motion to something like that, or just?
I would like a motion.
You
I
would?
think so, because it's revised March 9th, and we adopted this about in January, late.
I move then, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, that we amend the fiscal 2023 Norfolk County budget schedule to reflect the additional date of May 4th on Wednesday for the Commission's public hearing to be held on the operating budget and to reflect other notations in terms of continuations as presented this day.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adopt the revised Norfolk County fiscal year 2023 budget schedule as presented today by Director Fleming. All in favor?
Aye.
Is a vote, and we'll go with the revised. Okay, are we at 1:30 yet?
Almost.
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 I'll go real quick through the last.
Go ahead.
pieces. I will send out a notice to department heads shortly regarding the topic we talked about a few minutes ago about receiving any requests for transfers or year-end supplemental needs, such that this board can begin deliberating on them March 30th. I will be notifying DCAM of the required disposition requirements regarding the Quincy District Court property. I last left it with DCAM, I think back in January, that we should have a conversation about each side's legal path and legal timeframes associated with acquisition and disposition of properties. We're beholden to Chapter 34 and Chapter 30B, and I'll explain that to DCAM. Recently, I just want to announce our HR director secured several certificates of completion. Michelle completed her field of study in computer software and applications with Tyler Technology, Infinite Vision's payroll managing employees, and also successful certification for training associated with the HR Web Advisor. These were all sponsored by the department, from the county's budget.
And when was that held? This
The
week?
last couple of, this one was October, one was last February 25th, and this one was on October 22nd as well, so three altogether.
Any questions or comments about that? I mean, we encourage all of our employees to
Yep.
take their,
Training. Oh, and all this is in
They're
addition
updated.
to another previous announcement that I made. The assistant director completed the first phase of Mass Chief Procurement Officer training, I think this past February. He still has more modules to go, but he's progressing. Two more quick items. Just an announcement. We've had a couple of inquiries from folks looking for the status of the upcoming so-called Juneteenth holiday, which in 2022 would occur on June 19th. This is the relatively new holiday that was approved by the governor and the federal government. We've notated this on our holiday memo, but I just want to let folks again know we intend to collectively bargain this with our units of unions starting March 25th. In the event that we make no progress towards an ultimate goal of securing those contracts by June 30th, I'll report back any progress we're making towards this item so that non-union and union personnel will be able to enjoy the holiday as a holiday that's designed by state and federal government. So more on that later. We first need to introduce it through collective bargaining. And then finally, a notice was sent out today by the Ripples Group through Marguerite Lee at the registry and Mark McDonald here, that employees of both groups are asked to perform a quick survey relative, I think it's 10 or 11 questions relative to their experience with technology in Norfolk County. This is appealing to the Wallaston Golf Course, Facilities Engineering, the Commissioner's Office, the registry, all units of government except the schools. They were not given the survey. They're outside the scope. So just a quick note, we're asking employees to conduct that survey. It's pretty quick, so they can have the information back as soon as possible.
I guess it's 1:30, but
no, I'm going to
I
make.
just want to circle back really quick. I looked at my
Go
calendar.
ahead.
The June 19th, is it?
Juneteenth.
Juneteenth?
Yes.
Is that a set day? So like this year it falls on a Sunday?
Right.
Or is it one of those ones that becomes a Monday?
That's exactly what it does.
So it becomes a Monday?
It would be celebrated on Monday.
On Monday, because this year it's on a Sunday.
That's correct.
Okay, that's my question.
You are correct.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
That's it.
the hour has arrived here for our joint meeting, and I believe that I know we have a quorum of the commissioners, I can see that we have a quorum of the advisory board. So I'm going to open the joint meeting of the Norfolk County Commissioners and the Norfolk County Advisory Council. I'm going to recall the roll, and then I'm going to call on Dr. Elizabeth Childs to call her roll, and then we're going to open up our meeting for purposes of fiscal 23 budget reviews. Today, we have the Treasurer's Office budget, and then we have the Registry of Deeds budget after that. So good afternoon on the joint meeting of the Norfolk County Commissioners and the Norfolk County Advisory Board Finance Committee. I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Stady.
Present.
Commissioner Collins.
Present.
Commissioner Shea is Stady and is present. We have a quorum, and I'm going to recognize Dr. Childs for her board. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Commissioner. So I'd like to call the Finance Committee, the Norfolk County Advisory Board Finance Committee to order, and let's call our roll. Eric,
Here.
Paul Connors,
Here.
Joe Reardon,
Here.
and Elizabeth Childs is here, and Carl Balduff is absent today. So we have a quorum, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. As I said earlier, we're going to review two budgets today as they've been submitted to us in February. The first one is the Treasurer's Office. We have Treasurer Bellotti with us on the Zoom, and we also have Assistant Treasurer Joe DeOrio with us. So I'm going to draw attention, say hello to Treasurer Bellotti, invite Joe up to the table, and refer you, commissioners and folks, to your budget books. Item number 10 is the Norfolk County Treasurer's budget. I'm not going to speak for the treasurer, but on March 4th, he sent us a letter with some number of budget changes in it, all of which are in our packet here. And I appreciate the work that Bill Buckley does on updating us every week on different things. So what I'd like to do this week is the same as last week, is open it up, hear from the department heads, then go to the commissioners and the board for any questions. So, Joe, I don't know if that's going to fall on you.
Mike's going to start.
Commissioners, can you hear me?
Treasurer, yes, we
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
Loud and clear.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for your time today, and I apologize. I'm not there. It's unavoidable. And I want to just thank Joe DeOrio from my office for working very hard on this budget, and on really the whole staff of my office for working to make sure that we basically are level funded relative to last year. And, I thought I would just go a few general points, and then I'd ask Joe D to step in and fill in any details, and then we'll follow the typical procedure you do in terms of opening up to you folks. So in terms of the permanent salaries, it reflects a $7,500 increase. This is due to the administrative assistant, the new one, Jill McCarthy. She started last year later, and that increased amount reflects a full year salary of $30,000. And our temp salaries are decreased by $5,000 because we don't anticipate as many interns as we've had in the past. Our advertising is increased $600 to account for higher costs. Printing and binding services increased by $500. Also, because of the Abrams Group is no longer part of our budget, that $10,000 will be zeroed out. And I think Joe might talk about, because you have a historical perspective, about maybe a capital request at the appropriate time regarding some furniture and maybe renovations to the bathrooms. Again, this is all within the within what you folks think in a collaborative way, what we can get away with based on your overall numbers. So again, we come in here with no expectations, and I know that the letter that we sent you and the discussion we've had individually with a few of you folks, and particularly with John Cronin, who I want to thank also, and Bill Buckley, for always being responsive, being open-minded, and passing along some of the information that we need passed along to you folks. But we know that, in the public session, that's when all the work gets done in terms of a true collaboration, because we get to communicate all together, advisory board and you folks. So we are trying to stay within last year's budget to reflect the realities of the overall budget with the county. But we appreciate an opportunity to kind of to move around some of those pieces within that overall number, and the fact that you folks have always responsive. So Joe D, if you feel like you want to fill anything in, feel free, especially if you want to anticipate any of the questions that some of the advisory board members might have, or the commissioners, or Joe, if you want to just pass it on to them, that's up to you. So I'm done with my piece, and it's up to you, Joe, if you want to fill in what you think I may give greater details about.
Go
Thank
ahead,
you,
Joe.
Chairman. As Mike went through some of the changes, our bottom line is the same exact amount as last year. The two changes he didn't hit on the most were the two in our 400 codes. We have an increase for newspapers and periodicals by $2,500. Last year, this code, basically, most of the money got moved out to capital because the advisory board had a question why it went up so much, and it was because we signed up for State House News Service. So this $2,500 increase is putting that money back into our regular budget. And the other thing that went up $2,500 is our bonds. Because of the opera program, I have to be bonded also. So this is to cover the cost of that for next year. But everything else is pretty much level funded except for a few other items that you talked about.
Okay, let me just ask you quickly. The assistant treasurer's never bonded before, but we have to bond.
Yeah.
Because of,
Right.
okay, okay. Can we pay for it out of our?
No.
No? That was a quick answer. Why not?
That's prohibited.
Okay. I might question the county director just to get on the record about your this request about remodeling your bathrooms and some talk about furniture. This is a capital item, and capital items are not going to be discussed today, but we will reserve the right to talk about them before we finalize the budget, correct?
Correct. We are looking to bring the FY23 budget before you in June.
Okay,
For
the
approval.
capital budget.
Yes.
And that would be the time if the treasurer has some requests for furniture, we'd put it in
The
there.
furniture piece I could possibly introduce during the April 13th advisory board meeting, so you may hear about it on March 30th as part of the supplemental.
Okay, that sounds fine. As long as if we make a promise and we're gonna talk about it, we gotta talk about it. That's all. Now, at redoing the bathrooms, how do we approach that?
That'll be a capital item that we're
Oh,
looking to
okay.
fund in FY23.
And that was just,
That's fine.
yeah, I mean, when they started redoing the bathrooms up here, the former treasurer had asked that ours get done too, and that, that kind of got, COVID kind of put everything on the back burner. So
Okay, I think it's a valid request. I just wanna, we are gonna try to put everything in the right place, so to speak, and then take it under advisement and go from there.
I believe we're targeting the ladies' room on the second floor of the Commissioner's office in our 2023 capital plan, so we'll add this to it.
Okay. Okay, any questions of our treasurer's group? Commissioner Stady?
I have two, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
So first, to Treasurer Bellotti or Joe, I think it's item 35, legal. There's a legal expense.
Yep, 235.
Yeah, 235, thank you. There's a item in the item in 7 minutes before. I didn't see anything expended. Is there anything expended on that?
The treasurer had not received bills. That's the,
Ross, and then you can give great details. Can you hear me, Commissioner?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so John Kivlin essentially is available to us. I've asked him to look at a few issues regarding, my statutory powers and how it works and reflects with the other departments, particularly the Registry of Deeds and the commissioners, to do a quick overview. We've had some discussions. None of this is really earth shattering. It's really to help advise me in terms of the role. He's been very, how do I say, economical and efficient. He's not trying to create any hours. We're having discussions. He's probably only put a few hours in so far. But as that, develops, you will be seeing some invoices, but not a lot has been done in that area because we've had, we've had some discussions, but I didn't anticipate it would be incredibly work intensive. It's really to give me some guidance in that first, 18 months. So there's really nothing that's coming in terms of a big invoice because we're taking it incrementally. So there'll be no really surprise. There hasn't been any really extensive work product. It's just, probably a few hours discussions as we decide what is really needed. What you folks did for me when you allotted that money, you gave me just a chance to take a deep breath and know what's there. But at the end of the day, we may not even use, close to that.
Right, so that was my point. I'm not even challenging the need. I understand that. You explained that thoroughly, Treasurer Bellotti, and I understand you want to have someone available to you. My only question was there anything expended? It seems like formally no at this point. So we can't gauge if we should, would you be comfortable if we had to? Not saying it's suggested, if we had to decrease that amount if something came up? I don't want to put you in a spot, but something, you level funding of something, nothing was spent on it.
Right. Well, if I could kind of have some greater discussions with John Kivlin, and sometimes I think he thinks he's doing pro bono work for us because he's that type of person and he wants to advise. But I will say, I'll ask him to really try to measure exactly where he's at and what he anticipates. I wish I could give you a clearer answer. But no, he hasn't invoiced us, and I think it's because he feels as though what he's done right now is just, the beginning, and so that's where we're at right now. But I will, I'll get a better answer for you on that.
Fair enough. Thank you. I appreciate that. If I may, second one, quick one. This is an opportunity for us, as you all know, to examine the Abraham report and to utilize it. And I looked carefully at the treasurer's responses to some of the recommendations. The only one I didn't see, and obviously I'll stand corrected, was the issue of cross-training in terms of their suggestion that in the event of a retirement to this very esteemed, very capable person who's sitting across from me, is there any training going on that would perhaps get someone ready in the event of? And I didn't see an answer or any kind of response. So I'm just, again, and you may have addressed it, but I'm just trying to bring it up now.
In terms of Joe?
Yeah, no, well, someone within, like in your own staff, in your own office, is there anybody that might be performing some of that work to prepare for any event if Joe says, I hit the lottery, I'm leaving, I'm retiring.
So I'll say this, and then Joe, feel free to add to this.
Yep.
Joe isn't leaving anytime soon, but we do know he has many years of service and, looks forward to retirement at some point. And Joe, I don't know what words you about. That's a job that he and I are talking about now in terms of what it looks like when he leaves. And is it something where, because of the qualifications and the type of experience you need, where somebody could, move up within the organization if somebody was so inclined, or is it just a job that you need to bring someone from the outside in because of the accounting background? John, right. I'll let you fill that in and feel free to contradict me if you have to, but through our discussions, my understanding, at some point we're gonna have to just have a plan, and the job probably is gonna go. There's gonna be a process. It's gonna go out, and it may not be a fit for any particular person in there because of the educational background and the accounting piece. But Joe, feel free.
Great, thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Joe D.
The only thing I will say is right now we do have a junior accountant downstairs who does not everything I do, but does a lot of stuff that ties into that. So could that person step up? It's possible. With obviously with some training and such. And as for cross training for other people in the staff, they are working on that like themselves. Like we have like Kylie does payroll if Amy's going to be out, and so they're working on teaching each other. Now that we have Jill also, she's going to learn how to do accounts payable.
Okay.
So we've always have ongoing somewhat of a training, but not like an organized training program.
All right. Works for me. That's all I needed.
Yeah, this has come up in other discussions, and I don't want to embarrass Joe, and I have a rough idea of how long he's been here. And there's no substitute for our career employees, but I think we're aware of what happens if some of them leave, or if some were to leave unexpectedly, but everyone's entitled to make their life plans any way they want. But I think it's a valid question, and I think treasurer has answered this before, Treasurer Bellotti, at another forum that we had discussed it, and I think, again, we have to leave it up to them. And what year did you come here, Joe?
1986.
1986. That's pretty great.
Great.
I think there's probably someone at the
We're
registry
not
came
looking for
before
you to leave in
86.
any
No,
hurry.
that's a
I
fact.
just didn't see it answered on the
But-
report, that's all.
I mean, there's
Okay,
no,
so,
That's great, thank you. I'm fine.
hey, Commissioner, maybe we can clarify that in writing then, okay?
Yeah, that would be, you know,
I'm gonna lean on Joe a lot for his input and his perspective on what type of person should fill that void if and when it occurs. But in the final analysis, it's my determination, and I have to look at maybe a few other treasurer's office. I think at the end of the day, it is about that accounting level of formal background. But that's, we'll see. Those discussions are ongoing also. And we can reflect that in writing if you want.
great, thank you, Treasurer, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you.
Don't leave, Joe. We need it.
Okay.
Can't go anywhere.
I'm going to open this up to the members of the advisory board, budget committee. Chairman Childs, any of you folks have a question on the treasurer's budget?
I was gonna just ask that. What does Joe, Eric, Paul, any questions for the treasurer?
None for me.
You're fine? Paul,
None from me.
how about you,
Listen.
Joe?
No, no questions. Just thank you for the way it was presented, Treasurer. The narrative is helpful. Not all, although I can read the financials, it's much easier to get a base starting with the narrative. So that was appreciated. And the fact of your fiscal responsibility is amazing. Not everyone would want to do that. Some people would want to move things around, but you really did a great job and it's appreciated.
Thank you, Joe.
I think we're set, Commissioner, and thank you, Treasurer Bellotti.
Okay, I'm going to go back to my commissioners now because we're not ready for our next hearing. It's called, well, maybe we are. We were called for 2:00, but
Yeah.
So am I done? Can I
Yeah,
just say a few
thank you,
words
Mike.
to wrap up?
you were done
Yeah.
for today.
We'll try to get your
Okay,
furniture. I can't
Guys,
believe
let's
Dan,
say a
you're sitting in the same chair as Dan Ramundi? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Can I say exactly? That's okay.
I
If it's
appreciate
good for
it.
Dan Ramondi, it's good enough for me.
All right.
So I just want to say, Commissioner, I want to thank you, Chairman, Commissioner Stady, and particularly Commissioner Collins, because every time, and I reach out to all you guys individually because we don't violate any laws, but Commissioner Collins, somebody I've worked with for over, I think, 25 years, is somebody that when you reach out to, you get a very straight, you all do, but I just want to reinforce him because we go way back in terms of trust and his responsiveness and the way he's been able to guide me in things that, even though I was around you folks as sheriff in different capacities, some formally, some informally, I just want to thank Commissioner Collins for his guidance and help over the past several months.
Thanks, man.
So
The BC had a relationship goes way back.
It's good. Yeah, it
it's
is.
not saying, we
We have
always-
some kind of Catholic tradition. going
BC
on.
High boys. Okay, last call on the treasury. We still got a minute or two left before we move on to our 2:00 at the registry of deeds. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Thank
Thank you very much.
Take
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much,
Take
Treasurer.
this budget under
Thank you.
advisement. All in favor? Aye, it's
Aye.
under advisement. Thank you, Joe. Okay. Next item, if you have no objection, we can start 10 minutes early, I think. If the register's ready, we're ready. I'm going to call Register Bill O'Donnell up for a 2 PM budget review session with the joint committee of the commissioners and the Norfolk County Advisory Board Finance Group. So good afternoon. I might turn commissioners, the registry budget is tab number 9 in our book.
Here we go.
It goes back originally to a letter February 11th, submitting the budget to us from Register O'Donnell and any other backup that we've received and updates have been put in this book. I'm going to open this up as I have to everything else, so the department head to give a brief overview, and then we'll open it up to questions. Good afternoon, Register.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Joe. Good afternoon, Commissioners and the Finance Committee. Yes, I did send over a budget on February 11th, and And I just want to make sure everyone got the cover letter because that kind of at least highlighted the budget. And also attached to that budget was sort of the template I know that people are familiar with was used in the past as far as the groups and things like that. And I know you have familiarity with that. Actually, that letter kind of highlights, and I'll try to highlight some of what's in the letter, but first of all, clearly with the pandemic, the registry's been open and operational since March 10th, 2020. And some of the employees that are behind me, I got to thank all of them because over 195,000 documents were recorded in calendar year 2021, which was up 9% over 2020. And that's calendar year. In the fiscal year 2021, it was 205,000 documents. So even though it was a pandemic, it was very busy. And as far as the total volume of sales, residential and commercial, that was increased in calendar year 21, which ended December 31st, 29%, so over $3 billion. So, I have to recognize the hardworking efforts of the staff, and they did it all during the pandemic, and they should be applauded for the work they've done. And again, part of what we try to put in the budget, there were some union positions, grade 15, again, trying to alleviate the workload issues. Also, I have to recognize that there's a lot of technical aspects of the registry jobs. They're skilled at verifying. A good thing we do electronic recording. We're trying to provide promotional opportunities for the hardworking staff. And I guess there's more technical aspect of it. I know we'll have discussions on IT and all that, but I got to recognize, and I think these positions are good for the growth of the staff, morale and things of that sort. I'm just going to give a highlight on the technology. We know our positions, and I just really feel that a direct report on-site registry IT department is so important. That was reflected in the budget that was submitted. All the modernization initiatives over the years have been supported. I appreciate the support, but it's been based on technology. And to me, the IT department at the registry, it should be on-site. It should be a direct report. It's so intertwined with the working staff, some of who are here. It's so intertwined with registry management. It's so intertwined with so many aspects of the registry operations that we just need it. And again, the budget, and I won't touch upon it anymore. In the budget is a registry IT chief information officer position that's been around for well over 35 years, and I won't get into anything more with the cybersecurity issues and the ransomware. So enough said. I just believe, and again, I'm advocating on behalf of the people that use the registry that we don't have a modern functioning registry without a permanent direct report on site registry IT department and registry CIO. And again, if people have any questions about the monies, we collected in calendar year over $82 million. Again, thanks to the staff. And again, I know on December 8th, we had a hearing here and, comments were delivered to the commissioners, and there was discussion, questions asked and things of that by Commissioner Stady. So, enough said on the IT. So just hopefully you take a look at things. I know you will, and hopefully we can certainly move forward on all aspects. But clearly, my position on the IT. Enough said on that. So
Okay. Are you ready, Bill? Can we open this up to questions? All right, commissioners. Questions of Register O'Donnell.
Okay, I wanted to actually, with all due respect, not get into the IT at this particular time. One reason is because we have a study being done. I'm anxious for that to be concluded, and I'm going to be looking very carefully at that. And hopefully it's going to be done the right way. Okay, but I may circle back, but I thought I wanted to talk about some other things in your budget, which I think were a cause for at least concern. It looked like you were asking for 2 or 3 new positions if I'm reading this right.
Yeah, that
And I
was,
thought you
what-
might want to speak about that.
yeah, that was what
Before-
I mentioned, the 3 grade 15 union positions to help with the promotions.
Okay,
I think the IT should also be enhanced. But yes, the union positions, again, they've done a great job. And I think, people should have promotional opportunities at the registry. So,
okay, I could have read that. Well,
yeah, that's what, I
will
thought I
say-
mentioned that, but if I
Listen,
didn't, yeah.
Full disclaimer, as a zoning attorney, I've had occasion to go to the registry of deeds, as I did even this morning, and I've gone to others as well. And I think Norfolk County Registry of Deeds does itself proud. It's very, very well run and a very fine place. And regardless, I was commissioner, or before I was commissioner, when I was just Richard Stady, you're always treated courteously and you're always treated with great respect. And they're a great staff, and that reflects you. That's there, and it's a reflection on the commissioners. So I want that to continue. I think we all want that to continue. We have our differences, but we need to put perhaps our differences in perspective. We're all trying to accomplish what's best for the county. And I think you have your job, we have ours. I'm anxious to get that report. I'm going to keep an open mind, as you know. I try to keep an open mind, and I will just kind of reserve judgment on that. But I want to see from you, if you could, you keep saying how the IT is intertwined and its IT is critical to be on site. I've got to get more information, and I hope the report will do that for me, than just someone saying, with all due respect, it's always been here and it should be here. I got to wrap my head around that, because I'm coming now from a different background where working where I did for many years in the public sector. There was something similar to that. And that person was housed in a building completely different from where I was. Now, maybe the job's not the same. We had tech people. If my computer went down, that technician was available. And sometimes we had to wait. Sometimes we didn't. We didn't like that. No, when your computer goes down, it's the worst thing in the world. And I get that. Trust me, I've been there. But as far as the intelligence, the top official, he wasn't in my building. He was housed somewhere else. And I'm going to make it maybe a little bit lighthearted. When I came over here today, I was counting the number of steps to go from your building to over here. It took me 3 minutes. 3 minutes, that's the truth. And I walked pretty slow, all right? And maybe a total of 100 steps. I can't believe we're having such a fuss over a person who might be here rather than over there. And I'm kind of wrapping my head around what's the beef? Even if the person gets hired and we say, listen, 80% he's over there, 20% over here. Maybe I'm getting off track, but the job, I need documentation as to why that person needs to be in that building 100% of the time. Other than it's intertwined. Are there that many threats to security that the registry's under?
Listen, first of all, I could turn that around. I mean, the steps that people are walking, they're over there.
I think so. Not big like you, but
slow,
skate over.
slow,
Wait a
skate
minute.
over, slow.
One second.
But
1 second, Register, I'm sorry. Did we say we weren't going to talk about the IT position?
Yeah, you're right.
But-
I really,
All right.
I know,
yeah, probably ought to-
but I do want to, I do want
okay.
to, I understand that,
Yeah.
but I do
I'm
want to
sorry.
address that.
I just-
I really, if we're not going to talk about it, we're not going to talk
All
about it.
right, yeah,
You know,
I take that back.
It isn't that we couldn't all talk about
Yeah,
it.
all right.
Actually, do I see Dr. Childs wants to ask a question?
I do, about the IT. I just want to make a point here that just because the IT department could end up being combined does not mean that there wouldn't be an on-site presence. I mean, having worked at the state where the IT director underneath me as a commissioner did not report directly to me, if that person reported directly to the IT director, but they were located next door to me in the next door office. So that I don't think the location is necessarily, we're not talking about necessarily a physical location. We're talking about a governing organizational issue. And I know we have an full-time acting IT director. And I just would wonder, like, have we received applications to date to replace that acting person? And if so, how many have we gotten? Because I think that position is still budgeted for, is my understanding.
Well, as to the, as to the IT, first of all, we do not have a registry chief information officer. The person, again, not to belabor the history, we brought a paper over here for a permanent hire. It wasn't done. And then eventually that person was given a temporary designation. He started August 9th. In January, he resigned, citing the fact that it was a temporary job and he had to do what's right for his family, which is understandable. And as a matter of fact, on December 8th, that was brought up at this commissioners hearing on the IT is you cannot attract or retain somebody or critical staff, any staff really, when you're saying they're going to be temporary instead of permanent. And the devil's in the details, I guess, on, as you say, where they sit. To me, just keep the registry IT department there. If you want to have an IT department over here, that's great. But the assessors department, for instance, is used to having our person, two people. And I don't know how Canton is, but I know this came up on December 8th. We didn't have, certainly with Chuck Phelan and certainly with Jim Limby, who retired, we didn't have people that sat in the background like the Wizard of Oz and just directed people. They're out on the floor helping people. Dan Caparata's helping people. So our department was more hands-on, not, some big, huge department that was there. So respectfully, I think the assessors, I think the attorneys, I think when our staff has IT issues or an electronic recording comes in and it's held up and Dan Caparata's there, we have people behind us, they'll tell you the IT staff is right there and it needs to be when a closing comes in and it needs to get recorded immediately. So, that would be my solution is like, just allow the registry to keep what they have. And if you want to structure something else around, then fine, but keep the IT department, especially where the $82 million was collected. And one thing the Abrams report said is that the registry of deeds generates significant revenue. It's a self-supporting agency. It generates significant revenue for the county and the state. So we have monies in our budget to pay for these positions.
Okay.
Register, can I follow up with that though?
Go ahead.
But how many people have applied for the position? Because it's not true that people in IT won't work for a temporary position. In fact, IT has one of the highest turnovers of anywhere. So you absolutely would get people to apply. So how many applications have you gotten for your CIO position?
Well, again, we had a very vibrant process that started in March of 2021, where we put it out on Indeed, the MMA, we had a vibrant interview process with Jim Limby and Dan Caparata and senior staff and people from the registry. And it got down and we came over here with a permanent hire. You're right, a permanent hire, Richard Hatch. And not to belabor the history, but the papers didn't get signed. So as far as what has happened since, we have again put it out on Indeed, but I know in speaking, I spoke to County Director Cronin, and he may not think it's apropos, but it's hard to get people to apply when there's this history of a temporary, it's temporary. However, we have put it out on Indeed. We're sorting through resumes, and we're trying to move that forward as well. So resumes, yes, Dr. Childs, have come in and they're being reviewed, with the IT and setting up, interviews are being set up. But again, it's just too bad because I thought Richard Hatch went through a vibrant process. Our IT people that did the interviews were so endorsed them so wholeheartedly, and you have to rely on your staff. And when you say, and I appreciate Commissioner Stady, the good remarks you made about the staff, but it's really not a reflection on me. As Cliff Marshall, our former sheriff, said, there's no I in team. I got a great team. You got people here that are behind you. They're just representing all the staff we have. We have a great staff, which makes the registry great. And that's not just us saying it. You can see from those letters that's what it's about.
But can I just follow through with that though? I wonder how big of a pool are we getting with our existing process, and how many resumes do you have and how many people have you interviewed, Register? Do we have a good sized pool? I mean, I would imagine you might have many done. So I just wondered where we were with that.
Was this the first time we did it, March of 2021, which led to Richard Hatch being offered?
No, now you said you've got a lot of good resumes. How many do you have?
We have resumes and they're being sorted through. I'd say there was, I would say it wasn't as many as the last time. There's probably, I'd have to count, maybe there was 20, 25 resumes between Indeed and we put it out on MMA. But, it's, so we'll go into the process, Dr. Childs, because,
How many people do you plan to interview? If you haven't interviewed anybody already, how
with
many are
it
you
being
thinking
set
you
up,
will
I
interview?
mean, last time we probably interviewed 6 or 7 people, so that,
Have you started the interviews on this round yet, Ms. Register?
they're being scheduled.
Okay, all right. So when do you think you might be able to get somebody in the pipeline to be hired for this CIO position?
It's hard to say because some people who were around the last time, they don't want to be considered because of this whole temporary situation, and they were very qualified. So it's hard to say. You know me. Not having a registry CIO. I mentioned it the last time I was here when I brought the papers over about Richard Hatch resigning because his family considerations, and he didn't, this temporary thing just wasn't a good fit. He wanted permanency. I remember saying on February 6, 2021, we had a fire. And luckily, it was a terrible call to get that Saturday morning. The fire department came down. I know Commissioner Stady was there, and the fire got knocked down. It could be real, it could have been terrible. And I said last time, we have kind of a fire going, but it's a technology fire here. So believe me, I want a registry, CIO there, especially where in our department, I can't speak to others, everybody is hands-on. It's only a 2-person department. And even the Abrams Group said that despite having a minimal staff, the registry IT department did a great job. So yes, I want to get someone in, but it's a complication, and it's only common sense. I mean, there are people that have been hired. Do you want to get hired as a temporary? Some people do, but most people do not. And it's a complication. So we're working on it.
Register, we may have to respectfully disagree on this. I had a $750 million agency with a CIO on site that did not report to me, but reported to a centralized information technology unit. And I will tell you, because of that, I had the best CIO you could possibly imagine because they were led and supervised by an outstanding IT expert. And they were incredibly responsive and would go be right hands-on. So we may just disagree about organization and how best to run IT in a public agency. We just may disagree.
We may, but I haven't seen any details respectfully, and I know hopefully they'll be coming. But that doesn't stop you from getting some qualified people over here. And if you want us to work with them, I'm just saying registry uses, and this has been in existence before I was registered. Barry Hannon goes back to the 1970s, but I will say at least for 35 years, there's been an on-site permanent direct report registry IT department, and it has worked well. So, with all due respect, government can and should be reformed, but there's sometimes that having that on-site IT department has worked. It worked for Barry Hannon, it worked for Paul Harold, and it's worked for me. And I heard IT people come and go. Respectfully, I've only had 2 registry CIOs, Chuck Phelan and Jim Limby. And it's been over 20 years. And then poor Mr. Hatch came in. So that doesn't stop. If you want to structure something over here, or we can work that out. But I just want to keep the registry department. If you want us answering the people, we'll answer. But to not keep the registry IT department where you're getting letters from assessors who use the IT department every day saying, keep the registry IT department. You're getting letters from regular attorneys who get on-site help, get help from the IT department saying, hey, they provide a good service. That's why, the registry is the best. One attorney, one title examiner said, I've experienced working in every registry of deeds in Massachusetts. You can say without hesitation that Norfolk County is the gold standard, most certainly in the technology department. So, we can talk further, but if we can just keep what we have and keep the good services we have, and it didn't happen alone. I mentioned the employees. I think of John Gillis. I think of a lot of people when we got that registry going from, we didn't have emails and the internet was just coming in. And what's been done over there is incredible. And it's been incredible because of the staff. They adapted. They became more technologically sufficient, but also it's because of the technology. And,
So what is the timeline on the hiring? Because that will affect the budgetary, that'll affect the budget a lot. So what is the timeline on your hiring for CIO?
well, again, I try to look at history. The advisory board approved a permanent position during the last budget. And again, we started the hiring process in March, a pretty vigorous hiring process. And I recognize, given the emergency we're in now, we can't be maybe as vigorous as we want to be. But that was a permanent job. The budget had been approved in May, and it was a permanent registry CIO position. And we come over on June 30th, and it gets voted down 2-1. So it was in the budget for the fiscal year. It was in the budget for this fiscal year we're in. And it's in the budget for next fiscal year. And the registry has dedicated revenues. And again, we don't get just all the revenues. Out of that, I mentioned 82 million, $11 million got sent to the Norfolk County Treasurer's Office. The county gets a lot of money. So it's not a money issue that you're doing it for. And the registry has accounted for it and has money in their budget. And as Mr. Abrams said, the registry is a self-supporting agency.
Okay.
All right. Should we,
I'm gonna go-
I think there's some other questions from the Finance Committee, Commissioner, when you're ready for us.
I'm going to go to Commissioner Stay, then back to the Finance Committee. Then I have a question. And again, well,
All right, my apologies,
I don't-
Mr.
trying to
Chairman,
not
for
talk-
bringing
go
that
ahead,
up.
go ahead.
I just
That's all
want,
right.
I'm asking now budget.
Listen, you're a
so,
commissioner.
Just, I
You
think,
know,
it's
to
been,
quote someone on, I think it's December 8th, everything's on the table.
that's
But
true, that is
Uh,
true. But that was helpful, But I'm trying to make sure I understand budget now, all right? So as simple as you can, clarify for me, so I understand where we're going here. In your budget, you had a CIO and a tech. Is that correct? Yeah,
Right.
last year.
Right.
You're asking for an additional tech, am I right on that?
Yes,
So you want to have 2 techs?
well,
I'm
and
just-
again, remember, the CIO all the CIOs we've had, including Mr. Hatch, were hands-on.
I understand.
Okay, we got that.
No, I understand
So
that, but-
to me, every budget should be a reflection of where you think things are going.
Mhm.
And to me, can anyone sit here and say in 1 or 2 or 5 years, there's going to be less technology or more technology? So I did, and I put that in the budget and in the cover letter.
Okay.
I do believe technology at the registry needs to be enhanced. And again, it's your prerogative to agree or disagree. I
No, I'm looking
recognize
at,
that.
I'm just trying to get, I want to make sure I got my
No,
numbers right.
and I don't mean to be challenging. I'm
No.
just,
So you got
you asked
one-
a question.
You're asking for an additional
Yeah.
tech. That would give you 2 techs and the CIO.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah,
Okay.
technical assistant, and it's needed. There's more technology needs and less, especially, let's just look at what's going on with the cybersecurity risk and some of the crazy things that have happened. And I just got a notice, from the Secretary of State's office that says, in light of the ongoing geopolitical situation between Russia and Ukraine, attempted cyber attacks towards state and municipal IT systems are expected to increase over the coming weeks and months. This, and this could, be in many forms, emails containing malicious attachments it urges us, to be hyper vigilant during this high risk period. You're the first line of defense against these types of attacks. So this came from the Information Technology Division of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So,
Okay, you answered my question.
Yep, okay.
Ken, I'm not being rude, but I want to cut you off for a second. Now, the rest of your, outside of IT, you lost me a little bit, so I apologize. Did you say, are we looking for additional 3 people?
I'm trying to get 3 promotions.
Promotions.
I'm
okay.
trying to get the
Is that to fill
promotions.
that head administrative assistant, the ones that are open on the budget that say pending or open?
On the top,
Yeah. Just had-
no, that, on the non-union, and again, some of the ones with grades, I view them as lieutenants, that's like, they're key, when you look at some people, whether it's Lauren Dutton or Janice Cochran or Ann Biddle, they are a key part of management. So some time ago, those positions were lost or zeroed out, and the county has just kept them as zero there. So,
Okay,
yeah.
head clerk is pending. Is that one you're looking to fill?
No, because those are zero.
Okay,
Those are zero.
Is it down below?
but I-
Administrative clerk? Are those the ones then?
There's an administrative head clerk.
Right.
That was zeroed out some time ago, and that continues to be zero. There's a head administrative assistant. Again, these are terms of our terms in the budget. That is zero and has been zero. And the head clerk has been zero and is zero. It's just they have shown that for the last couple of years. But the other one that was put some money in was the IT technical assistant / network administrator.
Okay, so.
But those other positions are zero. They're not.
All right, answer two more questions, I'll wrap it up. If we,
I have a similar question as you, but I.
so if we add the head, if we include the tech person in IT, the new tech person, right? What's the total number you're requesting for?
I think I count promotions as new positions, so that add 3 + 1, that's 4.
That's all I'm asking. I'm trying to understand it, that's all. It's, so your budget is up.
Those are fair
All right,
questions.
that's what we're looking
Before I
at.
go back to the advisory board, I had jotted down a similar question.
Okay,
I
good.
think along the same avenue as Commissioner Stady, including the IT position.
Right.
Bill, what is your hiring plan associated with these vacant positions? Can you give us a roadmap or a plan
Right.
Well,
that reflects what's in this budget? Not highlighting, just including the IT position. I
Yeah.
don't want everything in the
No, yeah,
world
'cause
to hinge on the IT.
yeah.
I'd like to know the vacant versus pending and
Yeah.
what the plan is.
Well,
That's all.
a lot of those vacant, it's hard to see in the green as zeroed out.
Well,
They're not there.
It isn't that it's that high. It's a
No,
little confusing. but-
Yeah, but the 4 positions, Mr. Chairman, Joe, is, IT, again.
You don't have to
IT,
give it to me today.
I don't
We're
know.
taking it under consideration
No,
today, but I'd love to see it.
Well, first of all,
I'd like
July
to see a
1st.
roadmap.
Yeah, the July 1st, if it gets approved, you could start, advertising it a little early for July 1st. For instance, the technical assistant
God
network
knows we gotta be
administrator.
ready by July 1st.
Well, it wouldn't be right. You know what I'm saying? You have to wait till the budget gets approved. And then, and again, we couldn't do anything on the other 3. So there's 4 positions. I would, as soon as July 1st comes, we get on it right away.
So I'd like to see it.
The promotions on it, right?
I'd like to see
The roadmap
I'm
would
with
be
you.
this. My
the line
commitment.
number such,
Right.
give it a title.
That's what we're looking
I
at.
have no problem with the title. I have no problem with
If you love
obviously
it.
the salary, whatever, that we're gonna do this, this and this.
I make a commitment that the three grade 15s would be taken care. It's because we're supposed to have a vote, right? Once the last vote for the advisory board is what, May 18th, you were saying? So May 18th. So we know it. July, it's not effective to July 1st. Those 15s get done immediately. And again, I will try to get the IT technical assistant in by July 1st. Again, that's not as a robust, we probably could fill that. That's not a chief information officer. So, I think you could fill that a little quicker.
I said including that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd like to see the whole plan.
And,
I want to see the whole thing. I think we're on the same
Well,
page,
I'm
Mr. Chairman.
outlining.
I think I'm looking, I was grasping to see.
I'm outlining it right
Okay,
now.
no, but even something written, a follow-up to our meeting. if
Sure.
you could.
All right,
That's
it's
all.
March 9th at 10.
You know,
And go ahead. I want to go back to.
Yeah, back to Dr. Childs, because I think Paul Connors had some questions.
All right,
Yes,
Dr. Childs.
yes, thank you. I saw Paul and Eric had their hands up and Joe. So let me just go to people. Paul, you want to go next?
Yeah, if I could, Registrar, could you tell me, where is the line between union and non-union drawn here? The 15 and the 13?
If you look, I'm looking, Paul, and hello, on page 2, it's the top positions are non-union, and then the second group is the total union.
But that's my question probably, is that you're ending at union position and at head clerk?
No, some of those positions, and again, the head clerk is zeroed out. I'm not looking for any money there. Again, some of this is a function of history, probably under Barry Hannon, and the union contract, and some of your county rules. So you have some of those positions are non-union in that first group. And then the second group, it starts with Neil Donahue at a 15.8. It works its way backwards. Those are the union people. Right. Going down to Lily Keenan, 9.4, who is a recent hire. Does that answer the question, Paul? Or?
I guess if that's the point, from Neil Donahue down is union, above that is non-union.
Right.
Yes.
And where are the promotions coming from within? Are they coming from?
One of the election signs up there.
The promotions would start within. Yes, obviously. I mean, my dad was in the union 38 years. I believe in the contract, and I would post those right away.
So for the pending positions, anybody in the lower grades, non-union could be applying for them?
Yes, I mean, typically they're very competitive, and we have people that have been around a while, and that's why a lot of people, I would say, are looking for promotions because they've been around 9 or 10 years and they're still stuck. They're kind of stuck, and some of it, Paul, is the luck of the draw. I mean, when I first got there, sometimes it took 8 years to go from a 9 to 11, and sometimes of late people have moved a little quicker because of retirements or things of that sort. But clearly for the 13s, we have obligations, and I want to reward the staff. They've done a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric?
Yes, thank you. All right, I just want to make sure that I fully understand this. We're basically talking about in your budget for the salary, you want to add you have 4 adds to staff. You have one non-union at $87,000 and 3 non-union at a total of $160,968. Do I have that right?
Yes. I had 315 threes. I had almost 161,000, but that's right. And the non-union was 87.
We're basically talking about $250,000 in increased staff for the registry. That's the request.
Right.
Right?
Oh, all right.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's the main question I have. I see all these other pendings and they're zeroed out. So I assume that they're positions that are not are not going to be hired anytime soon. So that I just wanted to wrap my head around that part of the salary side. I'm sure I'll have more questions on the expense side, but I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. Joe?
Thank you. I have 2 questions. The first is, I still don't understand whether there is a CIO position that's been entertained with candidates or not, because if I was in management, and we've seen this before in consolidations, not that they're waiting for the Ripples report, the incumbent's usually the person that gets the job. They just move from one place to another. So I don't understand why in this particular situation where there's questions of cybersecurity, you would leave that position vacant, but because the funding's there. And I think that's dereliction of duty not to put that position in and then say, well, we need help because we don't have one. It's mind-boggling to me. With regard to technology, obviously you need that. Do you have an intention of hiring someone for that position? Direct question, Register. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. So let me address the first question, because
the first was a statement. It wasn't a question. It was a statement, not a question. The question is, do you have an intention of hiring a CIO between now and July 1?
Well, I'm going to address your first matters, and
it was a statement. Register. I'm asking you a question.
Oh, and I'm going to. Well, of course we intend to it. I came over here in January asking the commissioners
so
if we got to work this out.
Hire one before July 1, and that's.
But I have to ask you a question. Did you write something to somebody that says we have a registry CIO in place, and you did it yesterday? Did you?
That
Did
is
you?
correct, and I was wrong. I was not at the
You
December
were
8th
wrong.
meeting, and that
You
is
were
on
wrong,
me.
weren't
I
you?
will fix that.
We do not
I'm sorry?
have a registry. You were wrong.
I
You
understand
gave
that,
out
Register. I
misinformation.
recognize that I was not present for the meeting on December 8th.
Well, I spoke on December 8th.
That's on me.
I spoke on, yeah, and I appreciate that, Mr. Chair. I spoke on December 8th. I didn't know any of this was happening. I spoke on December 8th, kind of pleading, and I've done it before, not too much, not too successfully, I might add, saying, listen, why don't we make Mr. Hatch permanent? Because it's not a good situation. You cannot attract or retain quality people with a temporary thing. That was in December. I didn't know what was going to happen in January, and it did. So believe me, I'm with you, Mr. Chair. I want a permanent registry. I want a permanent registry CIO. I'll take a temporary registry CIO. We need somebody over there. But I wanted to be clear that it's not that the position has, that we're not, what did you say, that we're not doing our due diligence or we're not being diligent?
You're leaving it open.
We put as soon, I was approached not to do anything, and I have done stuff. We have put it out on Indeed. We put it out on MMA. We have the IT people, and Dan Caparotto reviewing it. We're setting up interviews. Again, last time we started, I think, end of February, early March, and we got a candidate and we brought the papers over in June. It's not just, it's a little bit of, again, when you have to manage something, it's not as easy sometimes to manage, people can manage from afar. Believe me, if I could get a registry CIO in here today, I would, but it's not the easiest thing, especially when, for instance, in the scramble, Mr. Chair, one of the candidates who was a fine candidate, but not selected last time, put a resume in, but I try to be upfront with people, and they asked, "Is this thing all resolved? And is it a permanent position?" And I said, "Well, you get there were benefits, this and that, but the designation is still temporary. You got to be honest." And I don't see that as being inaccurate to you. It's a temporary position.
So excuse
Go
me,
ahead, Beth.
Register, I am now confused because I thought you said you had 20 to 25 resumes and that you had not interviewed anybody. So
I said the
you did
interviews were
interview
being,
people?
the interviews were
What-
being, I'm trying to be, cooperative here. And we've had some tough discussions at this table, but, we give a chance for people to answer. And I think, I don't always agree with what I hear, and they don't agree with what I always say, but we listen. I said we were setting up interviews and they're being interviewed. And again, look at the time frame from last time. We started in March of 21 and we got a permanent hire. And we brought papers over here and a 2-to-1 vote. It didn't happen. I didn't create this. So if you think that the process is going to be any easier, think about the last time. We had a vibrant process. It started in March. We finally get a candidate. We send it over here. It's a lot harder when it's a temporary job. I mean, and if maybe you don't agree, maybe you think, and you did say, being temporary. Some people don't take jobs with a temporary designation. And as I said, a very qualified person said, I can't, I need a permanency. And if you, and again, I want to be sure, Mr. Hatch in his letter said, "I am writing to notify you that I'm resigning from my position as Chief Information Officer effective, January 21st, 2022. Unfortunately, with my current role being temporary, it brought a tremendous amount of stress and uncertainty to myself and my family, which is the primary reason I chose to look for and accept employment elsewhere. I appreciate the opportunity and have enjoyed working for the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds for the last 5 months. The support and personal development you've provided me has helped my career immensely. If I can help or answer any questions during the transition, please let me know. Sincerely, Richard Hatch." So, we lost a qualified person because of this temporary designation, and we're working. I got to deal with the hand that's dealt me, but it's not as easy as people think, trying to get somebody in, given it's temporary. And all I want to do is keep the registry IT department as it is, and if you want to restructure things and have people over here, but we keep our registry IT department, we got to work together, that's fine. But, that way the registry users get to keep what they're used to, whether it's the attorneys or the title examiners or the people submitting documents electronically, which if we didn't have electronic recording and technology, we wouldn't have got anything done. And you don't have to go on my say so. You can
Down
ask
the
us.
road, you didn't
So,
want to go.
Mr. Chairman Reardon has a follow-up. Excuse me.
I question.
Go
So
ahead.
register, as an example, when the previous director left, the commissioners appointed an acting or interim director. Could you not have appointed one of your people to be that acting director, perhaps fill in with contract work behind that person to support them? Is that not a possibility? And then they would return, even if they didn't want to keep it long-term, they could return to their previous position.
That's what we have done in essence. Dan Caparata has done a great job, but he's just one person. And as someone that was used to a two-person department, there was always someone at the registry. There was always coverage. And maybe some people think that's old school. The people will tell you that are behind me, and people that call the registry will tell you. We have a customer service department. We still answer the phone, notwithstanding all the technology. We still try to do things the old-fashioned way. And same with the IT department. We always had somebody here. And even when they weren't here on vacation, I know they're checking in and working extra hard. So the current person is trying to keep up on it. But he recently went on vacation. He had a long-standing vacation. He's got a young family. So we have tried to bring contractual people in. And I know people say, oh, well, your past CIO is doing it. He helped in the transition with Richard Hatch. And I think as a favor, just recently, he gets back in, but his money was used up as far as, that work. So we're trying to do exactly what you said. And it's hard when it's a two-person department and has been a two-person department.
So do you telling me that Mr. Limby is actually on contract still?
No.
Okay.
I'll have to check. No, because the money was used up, Mr. Chairman. It was, so I'll check with my staff. But and when I say, I'm sure he's done things as a favor to Dan Caparata, just to get through this at times. As I said, I think I said it the last time here, when that was brought up. People put in their retirement papers for a reason, and I know he was very helpful during the transition with Richard Hatch. We were in a kind of a spot there, and but I respectfully, I get it. When people retire, they're putting in their retirement papers for a reason. People have obligations to family members and other things that go on. So we're trying our best in a very tough situation.
Did he leave because you ran out of money or because he wants to enjoy his retirement?
Mr.
I'm
Limby.
confused because I was just asking if the Mr. Limby's money ran out and then you started talking about him retiring and enjoying life. I don't know where we are.
Well, I will double check, but I would love Mr. Limby to have a long-term contract. I'd love Mr. Limby to be on hourly or something like that. But I as much as I like certain things, sometimes people, have other plans. So I'm trying to tell you that
he not on contract. You haven't answered my question. Is he currently on contract?
He was on contract when this started, and I'll get you the details because I don't want to misinform people. But I will check. He was on.
That's what you're doing right now.
No, I'm not misinforming anyone. He was on contract when this happened back in July 1st. He was on contract, and there's only the contract. There's only so once you get to a certain amount. What was that amount?
It was under $10,000. He's been paid over $9,000. He helped while Dan was on vacation. He helped perform the backup on a weekend. He's exhausted.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And
so there's only $1,000 left, and he's still on contract.
No, he's not. Less than that. It was a $10,000.
Fair enough. So
it's exhausted. There may be a couple $100 left, and he has declined a temporary status, a more permanent status than a contract. He does not want that.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. That was, all I was looking for was the answer to the question.
Okay,
Respectfully, I think we're getting a little like really far off track here. I know that we're talking about a very important situation, but I agree with Commissioner Stady that, right at the beginning of this discussion, that, we've been talking about getting this report so we can understand exactly where it is. It sounds to me like really the division in this particular issue is one simple thing. The registrar wants the chief IT position to be reportable to him as opposed to the commissioners. That's really what we're talking about here. We're not talking about anything else except the reporting structure. I think we all agree that it's definitely an important position, but I think we're getting way off base here. And it comes down to one simple fact. And that's a fact that we can deal with later on as far as where the person sits and who he reports to. I'm sorry, and I hate to say it like this, but I don't care. As long as we get that person in because it's needed. When the Abrahams report comes out and tells us, do we need a separate IT director or department for the registry or not? That's the real question here. So I think we're just like, we're banging our heads against the wall here on an issue that really comes down to just a basic reporting situation, not the need or the importance of the position itself. So I respectfully suggest that we move on to the expenses and come off this issue, maybe table this for a separate workshop meeting of some kind to discuss further. But it seems to me like all we're doing is we're all banging our heads together on the same issue, and it comes down to one simple fact. And I think we just need to kind of stop, hold off. We know it's budgeted. It's not a budget issue. Let's move on to the expenses. I respectfully to all.
great.
Can I just address that? Well, Eric, there's just one other part to that. And again, I know the Real Estate Bar Association wrote 2 letters to the commissioners saying they want to keep the registry CIO. Why can't we have a registry CIO? It doesn't say county CIO. Why can't we have a registry CIO and an IT department staff that's working at the registry and dedicated to the registry, a direct report, because that's how it's been. And that is a good management technique to get work done, is to have people who report to you, who are working for you, to do that. And then you can do a county CIO that works over here, and we have to work together. I mean,
But that's the point. That's the point of the report that we're waiting for.
Okay,
It's-
That's correct. Nobody has mentioned the Ripples Group yet. No, I let it get way far afield, and I came in saying we're not gonna talk about the CIO. This is probably the 10th meeting I've said that, and I'm 0 for 10. But I am gonna tell you that when everything is on the table, and when we hired and spent some more money with the Ripples Group, and we haven't heard from them, at least the report is not written, certain individuals in here have heard from them in the course of their duties. We're gonna work with that. It's the same as we tried to do with the Abrahams Group. And if we talk about time dates, and we started last December, we started a year ago, March, the Abrahams report was the fall before that. And in that time, we urged everyone to know that whatever we talked about is a recommendation. And we want you to look at everything on a temporary basis. The word temporary started a long time ago. So I'm not going to take any more questions here today that don't deal with the registry budget. My question, which was piggybacked onto Commissioner Stady's question, is I'd like to see a plan about the openings, and if A is going to B and it's a grade this, that, I want to see it. This board, in the 5 years I've been here, hasn't, other than the CIO position, when a person comes in to be promoted within this budget, we do it. That's the prerogative of the department head. But when we're talking about these top positions, and they, through whatever reason, the last 4-month employee left, Mr. Hatch, puts us in this position. But I agree. I don't know why the second man isn't the temporary CIO, and then plow through these resumes. by the time you get through these resumes, we'll have the Ripples report. It's promised when?
Late April.
Late April. And then go from there. We're not going to take our budget vote, well, until May.
Early May.
So, I mean, I spoke earlier in the year about keeping to this schedule. It's something we've all labored to do. Last few years, we're in here in August, and we were down at the agricultural school. We amended our budget, our calendar today on the budget. Again, trying to stick to it. So let's go back. If there's any more questions today, we want to entertain them. Again,
Let's get this.
we're taking everything under advisement. Dr. Childs.
I just have a question about the salary issue. In your letter register, you talk about how much more volume you've done over the past year and how much you've been able to accomplish. So I usually think of increasing salaries and resources when there appears to be a need. And the need is not based usually on people saying they're working too hard. The need is usually based on not being able to get the job done. And clearly you're not only getting the job done, but you're doing more and more of the job with the existing staff. So from a strategic perspective, why would you need to increase the salaried staff?
First of all, I think the staff, I think people deserve, especially with inflation rates, they and things like that, they deserve to be paid. They've done a great job, and I see the budget that we proposed as a way for people to be rewarded. And I recognize, believe me, promotions can be difficult because you pick one person and you got 5 applicants that are mad at you. But, having promotions in the budget, those 15s, I think reward people and also recognize they're not just doing the volume. There's a lot more technical aspects and verifying and electronic recording. So that's why we did it to reward the employees for a job well done. And again, you can't sit on your laurels. I think our staff, and I think whether you're union or non-union, I think people realize there's accountability at the registry. We do it. We get a job, we do the job, and I think it's done professionally and obviously with good customer service based on what you're hearing from people.
Why did you choose to only choose 4 then for promotion rather than raises or bonus incentives or something for your other staff?
Well, I try to respect, and the direction we were given was not to put any increases in. And if, believe me, if the county director said, hey, for non-union, you can put regrades and for union, you put this, I know what they're negotiating. I mean, so I'm amenable to anything that suggested Dr. Childs like that. But we were given certain directives as far as no regrades, and even though I may think people deserve regrades, we were given a directive of no, salaries in there, and you know what I mean, percentages and things of that sort. So I try to, and I think I have, as directed, done that. But I agree with you. If there's a way to get people more monies, maybe that's something we can work on between now and the final vote on May 18th.
So is this strategy then a plan to get around doing a regrade by creating these other promotion departments? Is that really what this is? I'm trying to understand what this is. These positions.
And I mean that's you can't do that. I mean, you can't do that. I mean, you regrades in the past, you have to come before the commissioners and things of that sort. You do regrades. This is promotions. We're not trying to get around anything or anything like that or anything nefarious like that. That's just not how we operate. We operate above board.
I thought you said this was to give people incentive. Why would you do it this way rather than come back with a request for a regrade for a particularly exceptional employee?
Well, believe me, I believe, and I think most of the union employees would agree that 3 grade 15s is what is something the union would appreciate. So it's not. I mean, I would like to try to take care of everyone, the non-union, give them regrades and all that, and maybe we can work on that. But I'm trying to give promotional opportunities. You got 3 15s, you put them out there, and people will be promoted. They will compete for the promotion. And as I said, one person will be happy and how many people will be mad at me? But there'll be a lot of them.
I would also make that point. I'm always very cautious about budgets that get set up to reward favorites and not reward all or reward merit for all.
You
It's
know,
really important.
You know,
It's really important.
yeah,
Very
I mean, even the union people behind me groaned and the non-union. We play it by the book, especially my dad was in a union for 38 years, climbed poles, worked hard. And I respect union people. I think I've had a great relationship with this union. I respect the collective bargaining process. My staff respects the collective bargaining process. And to say favorites are going to be rewarded, that's just not the case. We've done our promotions, and when we do our promotions, there's a collective bargaining process that goes on. And I you know, over the years, I've never had that issue. You just, the applicants come in and it's under the contract, senior qualified. And even the union people behind me groaned at that allegation and, you
It's
know.
not an allegation. I simply stated I really am cautious about that always in budgets.
Oh, okay, good.
And I
As
want
long
to
as
make
it's not
sure
directed at the
that you
register.
are also registered.
Oh, I'm
That
very
is what I would
cautious
say.
of it. I'm very cautious of it.
Good.
And I also support the union people, and that's why I submitted the budget as I
And
did.
we're opening negotiations when?
March 25th.
March 25th.
Did we move into expenses now?
Hmm?
Can we look at the expenses of his budget?
Sure. We can look at any part of his budget except,
Right, no, I know, but we spent a lot of time on
go
salary.
ahead.
I think in summary, to echo what Eric said, and I said, you're looking at the increases and the costs of your salary to be about 2.25 or so increase, right? For fiscal 23?
Correct.
Okay, so on expenses, you've got some significant increases as well. I circled one. Okay, here we go again with computer and hardware and things like that. That was one significant one.
Yes.
And the other one had to do with, I think, postage and so on. Let's take the first one, I guess. It's a big chunk. It's an increase of 50,000. Am I right?
When you say first one,
So, okay,
what code?
Okay, so I'm taking code 5270 all the way down to 5276.
Well, a big part of that, yes, was, computer maintenance, computer supplies. We have some, first of all, chip issues, supply chain issues. You can just see what's going on and inflation. So yes, again, some of that's a reflection of, actually, this budget was submitted in February. I don't think we even anticipated what's even going on. That was, was supply chain issues and inflation and costs for printing and other things. But that was pre what we're going through now. But clearly, inflation, I think the Commerce Department said inflation was, the last 12 months was 6.1. Social Security gave I think it was a 6 something or 7 something % increase. So clearly,
Okay,
there are prices going up.
so hardware, in terms of, are we looking at again? This is like new equipment?
Well, a lot of that is
Registry, or is this?
It's
supplies.
everything.
Everything.
Yeah, the computer.
I'm just trying to find out. I'm trying to clarify, that's all.
Fair
So
questions.
That's 50,000. And then the one I flagged was stationery and things of that nature.
What code was it?
Okay,
The
so down at
5295?
5360 and all the way to 5363.
5360, yeah, I mean, again, office and paper supplies have gone through it. Again, it's a busy year, and supply chain issues and all that. The computer supplies, now in that code 5363, it deals with the cat lines, the switches, the disks, things like that, the hardware. And again, similar things there. I mean, especially with chip, with that stuff, there's supply chain increases as well as inflation. Plus, some of that certainly was a busy year with supplies.
Okay, so could you give me, if you could, or Marguerite or somebody, what's your total increase in terms of expenses?
Well, by my math,
Total.
by my math, the three groups,
Yeah.
which was we don't have anything in group 6, group 2, group 3, group 4, group 5.
Yeah,
The increase was 123,900. Now, the big increase was in that group 2 because of different things. And I want to be clear, we're, in fiscal year 2019, group 2 contractual services, we expended 522,000. And when you look at fiscal 22, it says 401,000. but I apologize, I was at a meeting, but I heard it mentioned, I think it was you, Mr. Chair, on that supplemental. Last year, we did request 50 grand. And if you add the 401 plus that 50 grand from last year, that would be 451. So when you see 95 grand jump, yeah, but really that should be 451. But all total, group 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, by my math, that's 123,900. And if you divide that by 5, that would come out on average to 24,780. But clearly, one group went up 5,000. I think that was a contract that was signed here recently for equipment that was signed. But the big bulk was that number 2. And again, that 401 is kind of low because they never added the 50 grand in from last year.
Total budget increase for the registry then, if I'm correct, rough numbers, would be in excess of 350,000.
Yeah,
Salary and
that other amount that we talked about with the 4 positions plus the 123,900.
Okay.
Yeah, if you add,
Okay.
I'd have to add that three
That's
something.
what today's about.
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
All right.
fair question.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
All right. Just wanted to get the number, that's all.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
okay, we're in a question. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a couple of questions here. One is, Registrar, can you tell me give me a second. You have about a $5,000 increase in miscellaneous rentals. What is miscellaneous rentals?
And again, the code,
5469.
5469 miscellaneous, that went up $4,600. And part of that was the commissioners, relatively recently, there was a rental agreement signed. One of the reasons that was increased, we had like big book printers, and we have a contract, and the book printers were breaking down, so a contract came out, for the rental. We're supposed to get, I think 2 new machines every 3 years, but that contract was signed probably a month ago.
Okay.
And so that explains that. Thank you.
The other question I have is in group 2, 5239, professional and technical, going up 40,000. Now, looking at the last 2 years, fiscal 20, fiscal 21 compared to 20, you only spent $400 more. And it was under the 50,000 that was approved for 22. But now you want to go from 50 to 90. So what's that increase due to?
Well, again, I think, don't want to use the word greater reliance on, contractors for technology. That's a big part of it. So not to mention the T word. I don't want to mention the T word here, but.
Oh, you're talking about
outside contractors and contractor work, especially with respect, there's been more reliance on that, especially with IT.
Okay. And the only other comment I have is, and this is more of a comment than a question, just because I'm sure everybody's waiting for me to ask this question. Computer hardware, 5276, and other office furniture and equipment, 5547. To me, those are capital amounts. They do not belong in an operating budget. I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but computer hardware, you're talking about a $50,000 increase in computer hardware. That hardware, that's a capital expense. That's not a operating budget item. So, and people may disagree with me. And the same thing with furniture. Office furniture is not an operating budget. Office furniture is a durable good that belongs in a capital line. So I'm just going to make those comments. I would recommend that those 2 lines be put back to the fiscal 22 approved. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, I dare ask you, Director Cronin, what you think about that?
I don't disagree with Mr. Beckman in the example that he just offered.
Well, can we move it from 1 and put it in the capital and promise that it's day in court?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, certainly on the furniture, we just got through with Treasurer Bellotti, and it was a little furniture question at the very end of his. And we said that's a capital item. I can't, for the life of me, not believe that it's not a capital item for the registry. So I agree with you.
If I,
And I think we should move it over into the capital budget. As for the technology, money,
Computers.
Hardware.
hardware,
It's,
yes, I believe that's a capital item also.
I think Marguerite wanted to make it.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Assistant,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead, Marguerite, I'm
Through
sorry.
you, Mr. Chairman. Some of these items, furniture, they're chairs. These people, including the ones who sit here, sit for over 7 hours a day. Are these capital items? These are goods that we have to rotate. We have other issues. We have ADA issues. We're trying to accommodate people. And I guess it's a point of disagreement. I don't believe these are capital items. We have to replace these constantly. And the computers that we're replacing, things go wrong. We're buying imprinters constantly. These are part of the functions of the job. Some of these items, a computer now is about $1,500. If you're using 50 computers for your operations and you're rotating them, I think that this has become a fungible good. It is not a capital outlay. Years ago, we abided by the rule, anything over $15,000 was a capital outlay. And it got reported under the GASB through Joe Diaria. Now we're reducing that to maybe $1,000 item. This is part of operations. They're daily items that have to be rotated. So that would just be my retort to that. And as far as chairs, I have to be able to replace chairs for people. I can't anticipate it.
Well,
Capital doesn't mean, oh,
it doesn't mean you're not going to replace
right,
it.
it doesn't mean it won't get funded.
No, it
It's just, it's an idea of where you're putting it, that's all. A capital item could be a recurrent thing. Like in some towns, they replace police cruisers every year. They're put in capital, but they're still
Versus
replaced.
a police cruiser versus a chair.
Well, maybe we should have like a program on a regular basis, you replace 3 chairs, 4 chairs every year. That's what we should be looking
Try
at.
to rotate these and,
You know.
we're trying to, we have people that sit all day. It's extremely important when a spring goes that we're able to replace
Like
these.
this, huh?
Oh, no, nothing like that. Little office.
All right, I would defer to the director on that, but that's, I understand what you're saying. I understand.
Well, where is it going? Is it going to stay or is it going to the capital?
The county has an annual capital operating budget, just like it has an operating budget. So with all due respect to Marguerite, to your point, Commissioner, where it comes from
Yeah,
ought not to matter. The fact is we can fund them regularly through a capital resource.
yeah, it doesn't mean it won't get
Operating
funded.
budget. It's just-
It's just, I understand what you're saying too. I questioned that threshold. Those are things beyond me sometimes, so I just, but it doesn't mean if we move it to capital, it doesn't mean, okay, we're gonna put it out 3 years, 4 years, all right? Doesn't, so. Back to Eric's point, Eric is a stickler on that. Eric, we always appreciate your input.
We agree with you.
Always a stickler on that, so it's just a matter of looking where you spend the money. So we may take it out of here, but then we'll put it over here and take care of it then. Fair enough?
Okay, moving right along. We're back on the budget at the Registry of Deeds. Do we have any more questions?
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, I have a question, and it's going to take me a while to answer or ask it, but
Uh-oh.
every year, Register O'Donnell, we look at the online fees. My first question deals with how does the user, what happens, what's involved in these transactions? And what has the person to do to access the online fees? What physically happens? John Q. Public or the attorneys or a title examiner, or whoever does use it. My first question is what physically happens to you? How do you access the online fees?
As we have said in the past, there's been changes in technology. How you access it is everything is accessible. www.norfolkdeeds.org and you can access it. We look at it as sort of an access to documents. I mean, and I recognize anyone can look at it and then as far as printing and all that, they set up accounts and they can print. Now, however, I'm sure with technology, technology being it is, and again, some people don't print like they did before and all that. It's a whole new way of looking at it. They save it to a PDF or take a screenshot, whatever they do. But yeah, anyone can have access to the documents.
So why with the pre-COVID or up into COVID? No, we won't blame COVID for everything, but we are all working under the same restraints. Has the online fees since fiscal 13 gone back down in the manner they have when everything else has gone up?
I think because of technology, I think, there's technology being what it is, the documents are more accessible. I also think people approach it differently. Not everyone needs a copy of the document in a file. In fact, I think some people, if they're in court, they might get a copy. I think some people can, print it from there, save it to a PDF, take a shot at it. We try to do the best we can, but.
What do you mean by if they're in court? I don't.
Well, I mean, if I'm a title examiner and all of a sudden there's a bad problem with the title, well, maybe I come to the registry or to get the document, or then I need to print that document. I may not have to print every document. A mortgage, and again, 30-page document, they may not do it. I also think younger attorneys are more attuned with the, saving the trees and all that stuff. They don't print like they do. They either take a screenshot or save it to a PDF or do things.
So
like
you're
that.
saying you don't get as much paper as you did 10 years ago or 20 years ago?
I'd say there's clearly a decrease in copies. And I think we got to keep in mind, these are public records. So the state registries, they don't charge at all. So, that's, yeah.
So why do we charge if they don't charge? I mean,
If you don't want to, that's
no,
fine.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
We have charged. It was a way to.
It goes back to Barry Hanna.
Well, I think it was a way to get monies to help with the registry. Then, in some respects, in 07, Peter was around. There were things with trouble, and there was a sharing of revenues, and now you got it all. So yeah, it'd be a lot easier if you didn't charge, because first of all, people get upset about it being charged. Clearly what other registries are, and second of all, back to maybe why people, as far as money.
All other registry, we're the only registry that charges?
No, other registries charge. I said state registries.
Okay, so the other counties charge.
I'd have to, I would assume they do, so I don't want to make that, but I would think they do. So yeah, we do a lot of the work there. We're not getting any of the revenues that come over here.
Okay, I'm still confused about it. I got to look into it more, but I did have.
Mr. Chair?
10 years in figures. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, this is a follow-up question. Register, when you say changes in technologies, do you mean the software? What exactly do you mean that can contribute to the lack of use?
Well, when I say I think people are a lot more sophisticated. There are technological changes at the registry that make things faster and more accessible and better user experience. We all want that. I think the county wants that. The registry wants that. And I think we've gotten good feedback on that. And that's what I say. I agree with what Commissioner Stady said. We should embrace what the registry does. We do a nice job. It's a nice product for the county. We're a good regional service. But I do think that
I understand.
with the technological changes, I think, and it's how people operate. I think older attorneys probably copied everything, but I don't think the newer title examiners and newer attorneys are as such. That's anecdotally, and I think as I said, people are more environmentally conscious as far as printing and all that stuff. But that's what I meant about tech. I think the young people,
So you don't
younger
mean
people are a lot
technology
more
interfacing
sophisticated.
with Brown Tech in particular?
Well, we made changes. So, I mean, we respect the fact that these are public records. So, in my mind, they should be able to be read when people view it. These documents should be as if you come to the registry and look at the document. You should be able to look at it. And that was the philosophy when, back when this started, way back with Commissioner Gillis, Commissioner Collins, and Commissioner O'Brien when he was here, that we just tried to make the documents accessible and bring the registry into people's homes and businesses through the internet.
I use it myself. The question though is previously you attributed it to different platforms. Like if I have a Mac versus a PC versus an iPhone versus is that a consideration?
No, what I'd say, there's two aspects of it. There's technological changes that allow us to deliver a better service, make it faster, have it viewable and all that. And then there's the user has technical abilities and technological abilities. And then also, I think the users have different mores or different ways of doing things than, say, older people or older attorneys the way in the past. For instance, my example of, hey, I don't need copies of everything if I'm doing a title exam, like maybe I did in the past. Maybe I took a screenshot. Maybe I have my own library. Maybe if I have a lawsuit or there's a problem with that title, I will get a certified copy as opposed to just keep printing. I'll only get the certified copy when I need it.
Right, but so there's no compatibility issue with, like, if I use my iPhone versus some other sort of device or whatever.
No, our mission was to, and I think we're ahead of a lot of other registries. You can look up this information on your phone or your computer or anything. We've if you have a mobile device, you can do research.
Okay, I'm just checking. You had attributed the issue in a previous question in my notes to people using different types of devices, and that Brown Tech may or may not be compatible based on different things. So I was just following up to make sure that it was compatible, was accessible, because it's a significant drop in revenue, significant drop. And then, if you have people who are taking screenshots just to cover it, I mean, that's an issue. But the other piece too is when I go on Brown Tech, there's a watermark on it. So, can the watermark be increased so people aren't borrowing the image from the screen? I'm just throwing it out there because it's a significant loss in revenue. It is a small watermark. Could that be done?
We'll take a look at it, but as far as I'm concerned,
Safeguards in
these
place
documents.
so that
I'm sorry, Joe, I didn't hear that.
Is that a certified copy of watermark?
No,
I didn't hear-
certified, you have to come and get it.
Yeah, I didn't hear the question.
Okay, well, what is the watermark?
so on Brown Tech,
Go
they
ahead.
have
Yeah,
watermarks
that's what I'm
on
asking.
them.
I mean,
And it's like, can there be safeguards there so the online piece is kind of solidified and the revenue can be increased? I don't know.
So it says not a true copy, but certainly we'll take a look at it. I mean, we did collect over $82 million in documents and fees, and 11 million of it came over here.
Oh, yeah. No one's questioning that register. We're just questioning the decrease in the online fees.
Sure, we'll take a look at it.
So maybe we should take a look at other counties too, and maybe you could show us like what they're doing and we can make a comparison because, I don't know what they're doing in Plymouth or in Bristol or in Bristol, whatever they're doing. And maybe that may be helpful to us to determine, some things we may be able to approach.
you have a question, Commissioner Collins.
I'm good.
No comment. You're good. Okay. Okay.
All right.
I'm still on the Registry of Deeds budget. This is a informational meeting. This is a presentation. Everything we do today is going to be taken under advisement and further study is included. And I hope these questions can be answered. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I'm going to declare that this portion of the meeting is over. Do not leave we have one more item.
Joe, I think they have to adjourn.
Right, but we
Your-
have
your
to
meeting,
accept
right?
the minutes first.
Okay, all right, okay,
Okay?
gotcha.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Chair,
Thank you.
Dr. Childs, thank you, Register.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank
Do
you.
you have anything else?
We'll get some follow-up.
Paul, we have
Thank you.
Paul has a
I've got one
comment.
question.
Dr. Childs,
Yes,
they
ahead.
did change the meeting date. Do you have that? Added a date for the budget?
May 4th.
Before,
May 4th, we added.
that was,
You're all
May
set.
4th is is the budget hearing date.
That's the
That's what I
follow-up to
heard
the
earlier.
commissioner's public hearing.
That's the commissioner's public hearing.
Follow-up.
Follow-up.
Our public hearing is April 30th.
We'll get the new schedule out to you separately.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, Dr. Childs, we have to jointly accept the minutes of our open session meeting held last week, March 2nd, 2022 for approval. That was discussion of other budgets that we took up last week.
Okay,
Engineering, what else did we take last week? I got the minutes right in front of me.
Of course.
okay.
Of course.
Yes, we took up engineering, golf course, miscellaneous, RSVP, and the commissioner's office. So if I can have a motion jointly would accept the minutes, we'll take a voice vote.
Okay,
Motion.
Do we have a second?
second,
In joint committee, a voice vote to accept the minutes of last week's meeting. I'm going to waive the reading. You all have them. March 2nd. All in favor?
All right.
aye.
I was not present.
One
We won't-
abstention.
We won't record Mr. Connors of Randolph, but we have a quorum anyway. And we appreciate
Right, we have one
everyone's
abstention.
attention.
Yeah, on that, Mr. Commissioner Shea.
yeah, one abstention from Paul Connors, that's what she said.
one dissension. Okay. And we agree, so it is 7-0
Good.
to one abstention. Okay, I have no other items, no late items. I just have an adjournment here that we need to take a vote to adjourn, and then this meeting is complete. If you're having a good day, drive to the agricultural school because we have our regular monthly agricultural meeting. We're going to talk about the budget.
Motion to adjourn the finance committee.
And our new business manager, John Wallace, is with us as he is every week. And it's his turn in the barrel tonight at 6 o'clock down the street. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this joint meeting.
Well, they're
Mr.
gonna,
Connors gave you one and Mr. Burton seconded.
right.
Okay.
Motion made second. All in favor of adjournment?
All right,
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.
thank you, everyone.
Thank
Much
you very
appreciated.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Be careful out there.
Yep.
Very good.
Okay, need to adjourn.
Why can't I get out of this? Oh, my.